Questions for Coach Rubio?
Your impressions, what you got out of last weekend?
Well, I have no complaints about last weekend other than the outcome. You know, I'm pretty amazed actually that we're as competitive as we are and that we're pushing teams to the limit, going 5 sets on both matches. And against Colorado, I really felt like we had chances against Colorado to win that match. We were down 2-0. We fought back. It's a little bit like playing in the Twilight Zone up there anyway, you know, with the elevation and everything. And so I was really proud of how we fought back after being down 0-2 and then coming back. And we had chances in Game 5. We just run out of firepower. We just don't have enough arms on the floor for us to really be a threat to win a Game 5. I mean, everything's going to have to work perfect for us to do that. And you know, it was just so limited. I mean, the fact that we're going 5 with these guys is amazing, you know. But it's a tribute to the players. I mean, I was really proud of how they finished against Utah. Utah's a terrific team, and they're I think a second round team. It's round of 16, round of 8 level team, and so the fact that we were able to do that was pretty remarkable.
They said Chardonnay was taking part in warm-ups.
Right.
So she's getting closer.
She's getting closer, you know, like anything else. I mean, we're going on week 6 now, you know, and so unfortunately it doesn't look like she's going to be cleared, you know, this week. You know, we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed for Whitney, but Whitney may be further away than Chardonnay. I mean, and Liz, those 3 kids, I mean, we're going on 5 and 6 weeks now with those guys. And you know, we're so limited on options. The good news is McKenna Martin played against Utah, and that makes a difference. And she played very limited. She only went into serve for our middle, but just that one, you know, change helps us quite a bit actually. And so I think that was one reason why we were a little more competitive. We just, you know, the serving becomes a real offensive part of our game plan because of our limited offense when we're playing in transition and serve receive. So if we can get them out of system a little bit by the serve, then it makes a big difference for us.
And I mean, I know how you feel about Stanford. We've heard that in the past.
Yeah.
Cal, what are you expecting from them?
Well, I think that it's interesting. The second round, I mean, Colorado is playing better, and I think Utah. I think what happens when the teams play us, I think the coaches understand that we're still a threat. The players look at us and they're probably not as, the adrenaline's not flowing as much, and they're probably not as dialed in as they would be if they were playing against, you know, one of the top level teams, the top teams in the conference. And so they come out and they're a little flat, and then we kind of do our thing and play hard and, you know, win a set or two, and now they're scrambling to get in set 5, you know. So I think that Cal is, they've been back and forth in their lineup, and they had a significant injury for them that you know, a girl that went down that really made a big difference for them. And I thought they were a second round team early in the season. We'll see if they can recover from that injury, and so they're a lot like Utah and a lot like Colorado. You know, Stanford is also injured. You know, Catherine Plummer, the 2-time AVCA Player of the Year, is out, and it doesn't look like she's going to come back. And then the other player, their freshman, who was the Freshman of the Year, Kendall Kipp, is out as well. So they're banged up. They have enough firepower. It doesn't matter against a team like us. You know, but we'll play hard. You know, we're you know, tactically trying to do the things that work, you know, to make a difference and give us some points. You know, we're really working just to manufacture points somehow. I mean, just really working to see, and we need some help by the other team. They got to make some errors. They got to be able to move the scoreboard for us a little bit. The thing that, from just a statistical standpoint, the thing that's really been hard for us is we've been aced far too often. 17 aces against us, and you know, over the weekend, and that's something that we can control. You know, we shouldn't be getting aced that often.
How do you just kind of explain all the injuries that you've had this year and last year, or can you not explain it, just bad luck?
Have you seen the Facebook post on pizza? And it's a son, a father speaking to the son, and he says, "Son, as soon as you can explain why there's a round pizza in a square box, and you eat it in triangles, then you'd be able to understand." And that's kind of the way it is with this. I don't have any concept and any clue on why the injuries are the way they have been the last 2 years. And the thing that's hurt us is that last year the concussion, those people who got concussions were back in 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks at tops. We're 5 and 6 weeks out now on kids that, so I mean, it just impacted the season so severely that we're not really in a competitive position, even though we're competing, to get to the playoffs. I mean, it's just impossible for us to do that with the lineup that we have. So I'm really proud of how the kids have responded, though. They haven't let go of the rope, and they haven't given to it. And I enjoy being in the gym with them, and I enjoy being with them because they continue to fight to be better. And that, to me, at this point, is what it's all about.
And Julia was
Right.
amazing this weekend, and she notched a couple of big marks. What do you think sort of attributed to that?
Well, it was a terrific. I mean, her match on Sunday against Utah was as good as she's been, and the numbers that she put up were, to have his first triple-double in the Power Five, and so that part was fantastic. And I've been encouraging Julia to be more offensive, and because we have fewer arms, when she's front row, she's got to be more offensive for us. The problem is it's not in her DNA. She was never grown up with being an offensive, dumping type of setter. She's, really a distributor more than anything. It's like, the point guard that refuses to shoot, and they need him to shoot, but he won't shoot. He just keeps passing the ball. Well, that's like Julia. I'm like, Julia, you got to be more offensive. And finally, she put some numbers up. She could have dumped a lot more. Like I think I shared with you before, I want at least 4 attempts a set. So in a 5-game match, right, she should be getting at least 20 attempts. And right now, I think she was like at, I don't know, how many she have? 16. So she left, a few on the table. So she needs to be more aggressive. But that's just kind of wired into her not to do the things that I'd like her to do. But it's still a remarkable match by her. And I'm getting the injury report, and today I get the injury report. And it's like Julia threw up 2 times last night, and she's running a slight fever, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be, going from bad to worse and worse to tragic, So, but she hung in there. I think she'll be fine for tomorrow.
With all the injuries and extracurricular problems that the team's had this year, what's the overall attitude?
Well, it's been remarkable, actually, and I after we lose to Utah, right, we're in the locker room, and it's like, they're giving everything they got. They're just, you're playing with one hand behind your back, and you just, there's nothing other than to say, look, I'm really proud of you guys. You guys inspire me to be better just by the effort that you give and your attitude and your unwillingness to give in to this. And I said, I have no complaints. I just enjoy being around you, and I enjoy going to the gym every day. And I said, the fact you guys are listening to what I have to say, which is let's just focus on these particular, areas and not worry about the outcome. And the fact that they're willing to do that and have done that, the challenge is to do it every weekend. We got 4 more weeks of playing. We got 8 more matches, and can we continue to kind of follow this path? Now, so far, we've been great. This is the 4th weekend we've had this lineup, but I think the team is really kind of have that us versus the world type of attitude, and my guess is that they'll continue to kind of just march forward and do their thing.
And, while you're in this situation, and it's a tough situation, yet they're playing their hearts out, and you're so happy with them. Do you remember another team that was like this, that they're doing everything you ask plus more,
Right.
and yet because of circumstances you're not where you could be, maybe.
Right.
And you're just the happiest coach.
Yeah, you know, people said, God, this must be really hard on you. And I'm like, actually, it's not. And I said, if it was a contract year and I was like 40 years old and I was like my third year on the job, I'd really be stressed. I said, but, you know, I've been through enough, although I've never had a year like this. I said, I've had really good years and won a lot of matches. I've been deep in the tournament, and it was miserable for me. And I said, and this year, you know, obviously we're not probably going to make the tournament, and you know, we lost a lot of the injuries, and I had just a great time with this group. You know, from the time that we went to the Europe, throughout spring, and then Europe, and now through this, and you know, and the old adage is you know, you control what you can't control, and you know, your attitude means everything. And if the kids come in here and do what they've been asked to do, then as a coach, that's all you can ask. And you know, I'm older, I have a different perspective on it, and I've really enjoyed this year so far. I hate the losing, and I hate the disappointment of that, and the agony of that. I wish the kids could get rewarded for their efforts, but in a league that the conference, it's, you know, it's a Darwinian theory. I mean, only the, you know, strongest survive, and so right now we're just a little short on bodies, and so it's hard for us to do anything except what we're doing.
You spend a lot of time on the road. Is that kind of a relief to
Yeah.
have some home matches coming up?
Yeah, it's nice, and the thing is, it's just a short week for us. You know, we get home late on Sunday, and you know, and so Monday's off, and then we're back in the gym on Tuesday, and then we're prepping for the match for Thursday today. And so they're scrambling, you know. I mean, and our practices have really been cut down. A lot of it's just because of the fact that you can't, you know, throw the volume of things that we normally would at them. But they're tired. I mean, they're really tired. And so I got to, you know, kind of have to manage that as well as a coach. So, and they appreciate that too. You know, if you can listen to what they're saying and you know, give them what they want sometimes, then they'll play harder for you. That's kind of how I feel.
So last week you talked about Paige and Katie really stepping up. What did you see from them this weekend?
Well, it was those two. You know, obviously they're receiving at least 85 to 90% of the sets. You know, and a great example would be Paige had one of the greatest statistical matches that I've ever been a part of on Sunday. I mean, she had 53 swings, 3 errors, and 17 kills. I mean, that's just, I mean, 3 errors on 53 swings is just, and from the front row and the back row, I mean, that's just kind of unheard of. No, I mean, those are All-American level, plus All-American level numbers. So her and Katie had 19 kills. I mean, those guys are just, have really evolved into really good players. That's the silver lining to all of that, is that a couple players have really, in fact, all of them have really stepped up and improved significantly in their respective position. And so, you know, I was telling Julia, I said, it's too bad this whole group isn't coming back next year, because all this, that, you know, the difficulty and the adversity that we're facing, but the result of that has been really positive. I said, if you carried this group over to next year, assuming that you don't get injured, you feel like you have a pretty good chance of having a great season in terms of wins and losses.
With Katie, you said in the past she's a good front runner. Have you seen that grow out of her, where she's a little bit better to when it's going against her?
Yeah, you know, she's been a lot better in terms of being resilient when she's struggling, you know. And again, I think at some point they just kind of relaxed, and when the pressure was off those guys. And I talked about that last week. And I think once we lost everybody, and they knew that they were the only ones that were going to be able to carry it, I think they were, okay, we got nothing to lose here. And even though you don't really like that attitude as a coach, part of it is that it took the pressure off of them, and they weren't carrying that burden anymore. And so they were, you know, their improvement from week to week has really been noticeable. And certainly from the stat line, it's been noticeable.
Anything else for Coach Rubio?
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So you're dealing with all these injuries and everything, and yet you guys are really going out there and battling it. And what keeps you going?
I think just the close relationships that we all have outside of volleyball. has really allowed us to band together, and having people out and not being in the most ideal situation in terms of lineup and not having the win-loss record, like those are all really disappointing things, but it's been a motivation for us to really become closer and realize that like this is the group we have, this is the group that's going to have to get it done, and like win or lose, we want to walk off the court knowing that we gave it our all, and teams are recognizing us for that. Dave has told us that several coaches and just people in the volleyball world have mentioned to him just how hard that we've competed, and I think we just we have nothing to lose at this point. Like, you don't always want to go in with that mentality, but we really don't have anything to lose. So playing hard every single night is just what we're going to do, and the outcome is going to be the outcome.
Dave has talked about your ability to stay composed even when things are difficult. Is that just your nature, or is that something you've had to work on?
I've always been that type of person, just very calm, and not a lot of things get me rattled, which has really helped me as an athlete, because volleyball, every point matters, and there's such a small margin for error in this game because you make an error, the other team gets a point. So that's really been a blessing for me, honestly, that's kind of built into who I am, playing the game of volleyball, because I am able to move on quickly from mistakes and forget about the past and just move on to the next thing.
Has there been anybody in particular on the team that's been like the big cheerleader to keep everybody's head in the game and, through all the adversity, or is it kind of collectively a team?
There's definitely aspects from each person that each individual brings to the team, but someone specifically I would say is Emmy. Once Kamiley was hurt, she stepped into the libero role, and then Kamiley's back and now hitting, and she's still in the libero role, and she's really shown huge growth just as a leader, and her competitive spirit on the court is just contagious, just the way that she encourages us as hitters if we get a kill or a block, or the way she just shows so much grit on the court. She could shank a ball and she's like, screw it, next one, serve it at me again. So she's just shown a lot of resilience and really stepped into a really big leadership role for us this year.
And coaches mentioned that you and Katie have really stepped up. And you've had 2 weekends now where you've had great numbers. What's been your mindset going into this?
Mm-hmm. I've kind of trained the last 2 years for the role that I'm in now. I've played the last 2 years, but always had Kendra, that was the person who had been in the program longer, and I was learning things from her. And then now, the first couple of weeks, stepping into Dave's you're the one, and stepping into that at first was a little overwhelming. But so the first couple of weeks, I struggled a little bit. But now that Katie and I are kind of the only options, we were playing anyway, but we're kind of the only options now, so there's a lot less pressure on us, because it's what's the worst that can happen? We don't play a good game. Oh well. With these circumstances, it's easy to just stay relaxed and be give it our all, and whatever happens, happens.
Anything else for Paige? Okay.
Thank you, guys.